The morning sun touched the silver towers of Westbrook Galactic Academy. Ships floated in the sky like metal birds. Students walked through the wide gates, talking and laughing in 100 different languages. This was the most famous school in the galaxy. Children from peaceful planets came here to learn together. Emily Park stood at the entrance and looked up at the tall buildings. She was a small girl with black hair and a round face. Her eyes were dark brown, almost black. She wore the same blue uniform as everyone else. She carried a simple bag on her shoulder. Nothing about her seemed special or different. She walked through the gates and followed the signs to the main office. Other students passed her without looking. They were busy with their own lives, their own friends, their own problems. Emily was just another new student on just another normal day. But not everyone ignored her. A boy named Kevin Lee stopped walking when Emily passed him. He was tall and thin, with silver fur covering his arms and neck. His mother was human, but his father came from a species called the Filari. They had evolved from small animals that were hunted by bigger creatures. Because of this, the Filari had very strong senses. They could feel danger before it arrived. Kevin felt something now. His fur stood up on his arms. His heart beat a little faster. He watched the small girl walk toward the office, and he did not know why he felt afraid. She is just a girl, he told himself. A normal girl. But his body did not believe his mind. In the main office, Emily met the principal. His name was Professor Williams, and he was very old. His skin was gray and wrinkled like tree bark. His species lived for hundreds of years, and he had seen many things in his long life. "Welcome to Westbrook Academy," Professor Williams said. His voice was slow and careful. "Your file says you come from an agricultural colony, a farming world." "Yes, sir," Emily said. She smiled politely. "My parents grow food for transport ships." Professor Williams looked at her file on his screen. It was simple and short. Born on a small colony. Good grades. No problems. Parents requested transfer for better education. Everything looked normal. But Professor Williams had lived for 300 years. He had learned to trust his feelings, and right now, his feelings told him something was wrong. This girl was too calm, too still. When she sat in the chair, she did not move at all. No nervous tapping of fingers. No shifting of weight. She sat like a statue, perfectly balanced, perfectly relaxed. "I hope you will be happy here," he said finally. "I am sure I will," Emily answered. Her smile was warm and friendly. Professor Williams watched her leave. He sat alone in his office for a long time, trying to understand why his old heart was beating so fast. Emily found her classroom on the 3rd floor. The room was large and bright, with windows that showed the floating ships outside. About 30 students sat at curved desks. They were all different colors and shapes and sizes. Some had fur. Some had scales. Some had skin that changed color with their emotions. Some had extra arms or eyes or tentacles. The teacher was a round creature named Mrs. Bell. She floated above the ground on a cushion of air. Her species had no legs. "Class, we have a new student today," Mrs. Bell announced. "This is Emily Park. Please make her feel welcome." Emily walked to an empty seat near the window. She sat down and folded her hands on the desk. She looked around at her new classmates with curious eyes. The girl next to her had blue skin and patterns that glowed softly, like lights underwater. Her name was Grace Kim, and she was a Filari. Her species had evolved on a planet covered in dark oceans. They made their own light to see in the darkness. "Hello," Grace said shyly. Her voice was soft and musical. "I like your hair. It is very dark and shiny." "Thank you," Emily said. "I like your patterns. They are beautiful." Grace's patterns glowed brighter. This meant she was happy. She smiled at Emily, and Emily smiled back. A boy with 4 arms leaned over from the desk behind them. His name was Daniel Cho, and he was a hybrid like Kevin. His species was known for being loud and friendly. "Do not worry about anything," Daniel said cheerfully. "This school is great. The food is good, the teachers are nice, and I know everyone. I will introduce you to all my friends." "That is very kind of you," Emily said. Daniel grinned with all 3 rows of teeth. "I have decided you are my new little sister. I will protect you from everything." Emily laughed softly. It was a nice laugh, warm and gentle. "Thank you, Daniel. I feel very safe now." Across the room, Kevin Lee watched the new girl carefully. He saw her laugh. He saw her smile. He saw her make friends easily and naturally. But he also saw other things. He saw how her eyes moved around the room, looking at every door and window. He saw how she sat with her back to the wall, so no one could come behind her. He saw how her fingers rested on the desk, relaxed but ready. These were small things. Tiny things. Most people would never notice them, but Kevin noticed. His Filari senses would not let him ignore them. This girl moved like a hunter. She watched like a predator. Every smile, every laugh, every friendly word was real, but underneath it all, there was something else. Something old and dangerous and patient. Kevin did not understand what he was seeing. He only knew that when Emily Park looked at him across the classroom, when her dark eyes met his silver ones, every cell in his body told him to run. She smiled at him. He did not smile back. The bell rang for lunch, and the students left the classroom. Emily walked with Grace and Daniel, listening to their stories about the school. She laughed at their jokes. She asked questions about their lives. She was a perfect new friend. But as she walked down the bright hallway, surrounded by happy voices and friendly faces, Emily Park allowed herself one small moment of truth. Her parents were not farmers. They were diplomats sent by a government that did not officially exist yet. Humanity was hiding in the shadows of the galaxy, watching and waiting and planning. First contact would come soon, but not yet. Not until they were ready. Until then, Emily had to stay hidden. She had to be normal. She had to be a simple schoolgirl from a farming colony. She had to make sure no one discovered that she came from Earth. Class 7. Deathworld, the most dangerous planet in the known galaxy. Emily smiled at her new friends and kept walking. The game had begun. 6 weeks passed at Westbrook Academy. Emily Park became a normal part of the school. She sat in her usual seat by the window. She ate lunch with Grace and Daniel every day. She did her homework and answered questions in class. She was a good student, nothing more. But small things kept happening. Strange things. Things that did not make sense. The first strange thing happened during a field trip to a small moon. The moon had very low gravity, which meant everyone could jump very high and float for a long time. The students loved it. They laughed and played and bounced around like happy children. A Filari boy named Tommy ran too fast and tripped. He flew through the air toward a sharp rock. Everyone screamed. The teachers were too far away to help. Emily moved. No one saw her run. One moment she was standing with Grace. The next moment she was across the field, catching Tommy before he hit the rock. She held him gently in her arms and set him down on soft ground. "Are you okay?" she asked. Tommy stared at her with wide eyes. "How did you do that?" Emily smiled. "I was just close by." But she was not close by. Everyone had seen her standing far away. Everyone had seen the distance. No one could move that fast. No one. Kevin Lee watched from across the field. His fur was standing up again. The second strange thing happened in biology class. The teacher was explaining how different species see light. He showed pictures that demonstrated different color ranges. Most species can see between 5 and 12 color bands, the teacher said. The Filari see 8. The Valari see 11. Humans from the old Earth colonies see about 7. He showed a test image on the screen. This picture contains hidden patterns. You can only see them if your species has the right color range. Most of you will see nothing. Almost everyone saw nothing. Grace saw a faint shape. Kevin saw 2 shapes. Emily raised her hand slowly. I see 14 shapes, she said. The room went silent. The teacher laughed nervously. That is not possible. The test only goes up to 12 bands. You must be joking. I am sorry, Emily said quickly. Yes, I was joking. I see nothing. But Kevin had seen her face before she corrected herself. She was not joking. She really saw 14 shapes in a test designed for 12. Her eyes could see colors that should not exist for her species. What are you? Kevin thought. The third strange thing happened when a sickness spread through the school. It was a common virus, nothing dangerous. But it was very contagious. Half the students got sick. They stayed in bed with fever and cough and pain. The school hospital was full. Grace got sick. Daniel got sick. Kevin got sick. Teachers got sick. Even Professor Williams got sick. Emily did not get sick. She visited her friends in the hospital every day. She brought them food and water and books. She held Grace's hand when Grace felt weak. She told Daniel jokes when Daniel felt sad. You should not be here, the doctor told Emily. You will catch the virus. I feel fine, Emily said. The doctor scanned her with a medical device. He frowned at the screen. He scanned her again. He scanned her 3 more times. This cannot be right, he said. What is wrong? Emily asked. The doctor shook his head slowly. Your immune system. It is attacking the virus so fast that I cannot even detect infection. The virus enters your body and dies within seconds. He looked at Emily with confusion and fear. What colony did you say you came from? A small farming world, Emily said. Nothing special. She smiled her warm, friendly smile. The doctor felt strangely calm. He nodded and walked away, already forgetting his questions. Kevin was lying in a hospital bed nearby. He heard everything. He did not forget that when Emily left the hospital that night, Kevin followed her. He was still weak from the sickness, but he needed answers. He needed to understand. He found her sitting alone in a garden behind the school. The stars were bright above her. She was looking up at the sky with a strange expression on her face. It was sadness and loneliness and something else. Something like hunger. I know you are there, Kevin, Emily said without turning around. Kevin stepped out of the shadows. How did you know? I heard your heartbeat. I smelled your fear. Kevin's blood went cold. What are you? Emily turned to look at him. Her dark eyes reflected the starlight. In that moment, she did not look like a schoolgirl. She looked like something ancient and terrible and beautiful. If I tell you the truth, she said, you must promise to keep my secret. Many lives depend on it. Kevin nodded. He could not speak. Emily reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button and a document appeared in the air. It was written in a language Kevin did not recognize. This is my real medical file, Emily said. Translated into Galactic Common. Kevin read the floating words. Species, human, Homo sapiens, origin, Earth. Solar System planet classification, Class 7. Deathworld, extreme, atmospheric toxicity tolerance, 500% above galactic average gravity. Resistance, 600% above standard temperature survival range, -89 to +57 degrees. Celsius radiation resistance, extreme persistence hunting capability, unmatched pack bonding instinct, hyperdeveloped regeneration, moderate, bones heal, organs regenerate partially, pain tolerance, extreme threat classification. Apex predator. Kevin's hands were shaking. Deathworld, he whispered. Class 7. That is the highest classification. That means your planet is a nightmare, Emily finished. Everything on Earth tries to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, the water, even our own sun gives us cancer. We evolved to survive all of it. We became the most dangerous thing on our world. She smiled, but it was a sad smile. We hunted animals 10 times our size. We tamed wolves and made them our friends. We conquered every continent, every ocean, every mountain. We split atoms and walked on our moon. Kevin sat down heavily on a bench. His legs could not hold him anymore. And now you are here, in a school full of children. I am also a child, Emily said gently. I am 15 years old. I like books and music and making friends. I cry when I am sad. I laugh when I am happy. I am not a monster, Kevin. She sat down next to him. My parents are diplomats. Humanity is preparing for first contact with the galaxy. But we are afraid. We know how we look in those files. We know what the galaxy will think of us. Dangerous, violent, terrifying. Emily looked at the stars again. My parents sent me here to prove that humans can live peacefully with other species. To prove that we are more than apex predators from a death world. Kevin was quiet for a long time. His fear was still there, deep in his bones. But he also felt something else. Something like understanding. You saved Tommy, he said finally. You visit Grace and Daniel every day. You make friendship bracelets and tell bad jokes. Emily smiled. Yes, you could kill everyone in this school if you wanted to. Yes, but you make friendship bracelets instead. Emily laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and honest. Yes, I really like friendship bracelets. Kevin looked at the small, dangerous girl sitting next to him. He made a decision. Your secret is safe with me, he said. Emily smiled at him, and for the first time, Kevin smiled back. The alarm came at midnight. Red lights flashed in every hallway. A loud voice told everyone to stay in their rooms. Something was very wrong. Emily woke up instantly. She did not feel confused or sleepy like the other students. Her mind was clear and sharp. Her body was ready. She looked out her window and saw it. A massive black ship floating above the school. It was ugly and covered in weapons. It looked like a monster made of metal. The Crimson Tide, someone whispered in the hallway outside. Slavers. Emily's blood turned cold. She knew about the Crimson Tide. Everyone in the galaxy knew. They were pirates who stole children from rich families. They sold them to horrible places far away. No one ever saw those children again. This school was full of diplomat children, ambassadors' sons and daughters, the children of the most powerful families in the galaxy. This school was a perfect target. Emily moved quickly. She ran down the hallway to find her friends. Students were crying and screaming. Teachers were trying to keep everyone calm. No one knew what to do. She found Grace hiding under a bed in her room. The Valari girl was shaking badly. Her light patterns were flickering with fear. Emily, Grace cried. What is happening? Bad people are coming, Emily said calmly. We need to find Daniel and Kevin. We need to hide together. She pulled Grace out from under the bed and held her hand tightly. They ran through the dark hallways together. Emergency lights made everything look red and scary. They found Daniel in the cafeteria with a group of other students. He was trying to be brave, but his 4 hands were shaking. Kevin was there too, standing in a corner, watching everything with his silver eyes. When Kevin saw Emily, something in his face changed. He looked almost relieved. They are breaking through the shields, Daniel said. His voice was high with fear. The teachers say help is coming, but it is too far away. They will be here in hours. The slavers will be inside in minutes. How many of them? Emily asked. Kevin looked at her strangely. Why does that matter? How many? The ship can hold about 200 soldiers. Maybe more. Emily nodded slowly. She was doing math in her head. 200 against 1. Not good odds, but not impossible. A loud explosion shook the building. The main doors had been broken. The slavers were inside. Screaming started somewhere in the school. Laser fire echoed through the hallways. The invasion had begun. Emily looked at her friends. Grace was crying quietly. Daniel was holding 2 younger students protectively. Kevin was staring at Emily like he was seeing her for the first time. Go to the safe room in the basement, Emily said. Take everyone you can find. Lock the door and do not open it for anyone. What about you? Grace asked. Emily smiled. It was not her usual warm smile. It was something else. Something older and colder. I am going to slow them down. Emily, no. Daniel grabbed her arm with 2 of his hands. There are too many of them. You will die. Emily looked at Daniel's hands on her arm. She could break free easily. She could break his arms easily. But she did not. She was gentle. Daniel, she said softly, do you trust me? Yes, but then trust me now. Take everyone to the basement. Keep them safe. I will come find you when it is over. She pulled her arm free and walked toward the door. Kevin ran after her. I know what you are, Kevin said in a low voice. But this is insane, even for a Deathworlder. Emily stopped walking. She turned to face Kevin. In the red emergency light, her eyes looked almost black. There was something in those eyes that Kevin had never seen before. Something that made his ancient prey instinct scream. My species hunted mammoths, Emily said quietly. Giant animals with huge teeth and thick skin. We chased them across frozen lands for days until they were too tired to fight. Then we killed them with sticks and stones. She took a step closer to Kevin. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. My ancestors survived ice ages. We conquered every predator on our planet. Lions, tigers, bears, wolves. We made them afraid of us. We are the only species in history to hunt sharks for fun. Her voice dropped to a whisper. There are 200 soldiers in this school. They have guns and armor and training. But they have never met a human before. They do not know what is coming. Emily smiled, and Kevin saw her teeth. They were small and white and very sharp. I am the apex predator of a Class 7 Deathworld, she said. And they are threatening my pack. She turned and walked into the darkness. Kevin watched her go. His heart was pounding. His fur was standing straight up. Every part of his body wanted to run and hide. But he also felt something else. Something strange and unexpected. He felt sorry for the slavers. Emily moved through the school like a shadow. She knew this building perfectly. She had memorized every hallway, every door, every window on her first day. It was habit. Humans always studied their environment. They always looked for escape routes and hiding places and tactical advantages. She heard the slavers before she saw them. Heavy boots on hard floors, rough voices giving orders, weapons clicking and humming. There were 6 of them in the first group. They were big and ugly, with gray skin and red eyes. They carried large guns that glowed with dangerous light. One of them was dragging a crying student by the arm. A small Falari girl, no more than 10 years old. Emily felt something wake up inside her, something very old, something that lived in the deepest parts of her human brain. It was the same thing that made her ancestors stand up to lions and fight wolves with their bare hands. Rage. Pure, cold, ancient rage. She stepped out of the shadows. Let her go, Emily said. The slavers turned and saw her. A small schoolgirl with black hair and dark eyes. They laughed. Look at this, one of them said. A brave little hero. Kill her. 3 of them raised their guns. They were fast and well-trained. Emily was faster. She moved in a blur. Her hand hit the first gun and knocked it away. Her elbow struck the second slaver in the throat. Her foot swept the legs out from under the third dot in 3 seconds. 3 slavers were on the ground. The other 3 stared in shock. They had never seen anything move that fast. They had never seen anything fight that efficiently. "What are you?" one of them whispered. Emily did not answer. She just smiled and attacked. The fight lasted 11 seconds. When it was over, 6 slavers lay unconscious on the floor. Emily was not even breathing hard. She knelt down next to the crying Filari girl. "Are you okay?" The girl stared at her with huge, terrified eyes. She nodded slowly. "Good, go to the basement. There are other students there. You will be safe." The girl ran away as fast as she could. Emily stood up and looked down the dark hallway. She could hear more slavers coming. Many more. She cracked her neck and rolled her shoulders. "Okay," she said quietly to herself. 194 more to go. She disappeared into the shadows, hunting. Commander Blake stood on the bridge of the Crimson Tide and watched his soldiers on the screens. Everything was going perfectly. The school shields were down. His men were inside. Soon they would have dozens of valuable children to sell. Then soldiers started disappearing. "Squad 7. Report," Blake said into his communicator. Silence. "Squad 7, respond." Nothing. Blake frowned. He pressed another button. "Squad 12, what is your status?" Static, then a scream. Then silence. Blake felt cold. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. He looked at the tracking screen. His soldiers were shown as green dots. The students were shown as blue dots. There should have been 200 green dots moving through the school, but the green dots were disappearing. One by one. Slowly at first, then faster and faster. "What is happening down there?" Blake shouted. A scared voice came through the communicator. It was one of his captains, a hardened soldier named Smith. "Sir, there is something in the school. Something is hunting us. We have lost 30 men in the last 10 minutes. Hunting you? What is it? An animal? A security robot? I do not know, sir. We have not seen it clearly. It moves too fast. It comes out of nowhere, attacks, and disappears. My men are terrified." Blake slammed his fist on the console. "You are professional soldiers. Find this thing and kill it." "We are trying, sir. But it is not fighting like anything we have ever seen. It does not attack from the front. It sets traps. It creates distractions. It waits until we are alone or tired or scared, and then it strikes." Smith's voice dropped to a whisper. "Sir, I think it is playing with us." Blake felt something he had not felt in 20 years. Fear deep inside the school. Emily moved through the darkness like a ghost. She was not tired. She was not scared. She was focused. Humans were persistent predators. Her ancestors did not chase prey in short, fast sprints. They chased prey for hours, for days. They followed animals across entire continents, never stopping, never resting, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Emily was using the same strategy now. She did not try to fight all the slavers at once. That would be stupid. Instead, she made them afraid. She made them tired. She made them doubt themselves. She attacked a group of 5, took down 2, and disappeared before the others could react. She found soldiers alone in hallways and removed them silently. She broke lights to create darkness. She moved furniture to block paths. She made noises in empty rooms to draw soldiers away from their groups. The slavers were panicking. They started shooting at shadows. They started arguing with each other. They stopped trusting their own teammates. Emily had learned about psychological warfare in her studies on Earth. Fear was a weapon, and she used it well. In the basement safe room, Kevin watched the security cameras with growing amazement. He could see Emily on the screens, moving through the school like a predator in its natural habitat. She was beautiful and terrible at the same time. What is she doing? Grace whispered. She was sitting next to Kevin, watching the screens with wide eyes. She is hunting them, Kevin said. Look at how she moves. She never attacks directly. She waits for the perfect moment. She conserves her energy. She makes them waste theirs. Daniel shook his head slowly. She is just one girl. How is this possible? Kevin thought about everything Emily had told him. About Deathworlds and apex predators and persistence hunting. Her species evolved on a planet where everything tried to kill them, he said. They had to become the deadliest thing on their world just to survive. They developed big brains to solve problems. They developed endurance to outlast any prey. They developed social bonds to hunt in groups. He pointed at the screen where Emily was setting a simple but clever trap. She is not just fighting them. She is thinking 10 steps ahead. She knows exactly what they will do before they do it. Grace's light patterns flickered with a strange emotion. She is protecting us. She's doing all of this to protect us. Yes, Kevin said quietly. Humans have something called pack bonding. When they decide you are part of their pack, they will die to protect you. They will kill to protect you. He looked at the screen where Emily disappeared into shadows again. We are her pack. Commander Blake made a decision. He left his ship and went down to the school himself. He brought his best soldiers, the ones with the most experience and the best equipment. Whatever was in that school, he would destroy it personally. He found chaos. His soldiers were scattered throughout the building, scared and confused. Many were injured. Some were unconscious. Some were hiding in corners, too afraid to move. This is pathetic, Blake growled. It is just one enemy, one. How can 200 trained soldiers fail to kill one target? You do not understand, sir, Smith said. His voice was shaking. It is not like fighting a soldier. It is like fighting a nightmare. Every time we think we know where it is, it appears somewhere else. Every time we set a trap, it uses our trap against us. Blake pushed Smith aside and walked down the hallway. His gun was ready. His eyes were scanning every shadow. Show yourself, he shouted. Stop hiding and face me like a warrior. Silence. Then a voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Warriors fight fair, the voice said. It was young and female and somehow terrifying. Humans do not fight fair. We fight to win. Blake spun around, but he saw nothing. My ancestors killed mammoths with sticks, the voice continued. They poisoned water holes. They dug pit traps. They started fires to drive prey off cliffs. Fair has nothing to do with it. A shape moved in the darkness. Blake fired his gun, but hit only empty air. You came to my school, the voice said. You threatened my friends. You made children cry. Blake felt something he had never felt before. Primal, instinctive terror. The kind of terror that prey animals feel when they smell a predator nearby. What are you? He whispered. I am human, the voice said. And you made a very, very bad mistake. The lights went out. Blake heard his soldiers scream around him. He heard bodies hitting the floor. He heard the sounds of combat, fast and brutal and efficient. When the lights came back on 30 seconds later, Blake was the only one still standing. His soldiers were all on the ground, unconscious but a live dot, and a small girl with black hair was standing in front of him. She was not even breathing hard. Blake raised his gun with shaking hands. Emily did not move. She just looked at him with those dark, ancient eyes. You have a choice, she said calmly. You can surrender now, and everyone lives. Or you can keep fighting, and I will show you exactly what a Deathworld apex predator can do when it stops playing. Blake looked at the unconscious soldiers around him. He looked at the small girl in front of him. He thought about his reputation, his pride, his business thought. Then he looked into Emily's eyes and saw something that made his decision very easy. He dropped his gun. "Smart choice," Emily said. She smiled. And for 1 second, Blake saw a glimpse of something behind that friendly schoolgirl face. Something that had evolved over millions of years to be the deadliest hunter on a nightmare planet. He fell to his knees and did not try to get up. The rescue ships arrived 3 hours later. They found something they did not expect. The Crimson Tide was still floating above the school, but its engines were dead. Inside the school, 200 slavers were tied up in the cafeteria, guarded by a single teenage girl with black hair. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. Every screen showed the same story. A slaver invasion at Westbrook Galactic Academy. 200 professional soldiers defeated by one student. No children harmed. No deaths on either side. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Who was this girl? What species could produce such a warrior? Where did she come from? Emily sat in Professor Williams's office. Her friends were with her. Grace sat on her left, Daniel on her right. Kevin stood behind her like a guard. They refused to leave her side. Professor Williams looked at Emily for a long time. His ancient eyes were full of questions. "I have lived for 300 years, he said slowly. "I have seen many things, but I have never seen anything like what you did tonight." Emily said nothing. She waited. "When I was young, I studied forbidden texts," Professor Williams continued. "Old archives from before the Galactic Council formed. There were records of planets so dangerous that no species should have been able to evolve there. We called them Deathworlds." He leaned forward. The most dangerous classification was Class 7. Planets where the atmosphere was poison, where the weather could kill, where every animal was a predator. According to those old texts, no intelligent species could possibly survive on such a world. Emily smiled slightly. The texts were wrong. Professor Williams nodded slowly. "Yes, I see that now." The door opened, and 2 people walked in. A man and a woman, both with dark hair and calm faces. They moved like Emily moved, balanced, efficient, aware. "Mom, Dad," Emily said. She did not sound surprised. Emily's father looked at Professor Williams. "I am David Park. This is my wife, Lisa. We are representatives of the United Earth government." Professor Williams stood up quickly. His old legs almost failed him. "The United Earth government? Earth is real? Your species is real?" Lisa Park smiled. It was the same smile Emily had. Warm and friendly, with something dangerous underneath. "Earth is very real," she said. "And so are 8 billion humans. We have been watching the galaxy for a long time. We were planning to make official contact next year. But it seems our daughter has changed the schedule." Emily looked down. "I'm sorry. I could not let them take my friends." David Park put his hand on Emily's shoulder. "You did the right thing. We are proud of you." Professor Williams sat down heavily. His mind was racing. 8 billion. 8 billion apex predators from a Class 7 death world. 8 billion beings who could do what Emily did tonight. "What do you want?" he asked. His voice was weak. Lisa Park's smile grew warmer. "We want what every species wants. Friends, trade, knowledge, a place in the galaxy." She looked at Emily and her friends, at Grace's glowing patterns, at Daniel's 4 protective arms, at Kevin's silver fur. "We have been alone for a long time," Lisa said softly. "We looked up at the stars and dreamed of meeting others like us. Now we know we are not alone. Now we want to join the galactic community." "But you are dangerous," Professor Williams said. "Your species is more dangerous than anything we have ever encountered." Yes, David Park agreed. We are dangerous. Our planet made us that way. But that is not all we are. He pointed at Emily. My daughter could have killed every slaver in this school. She chose not to. She could have run away and saved herself. She chose to protect others instead. That is also human. Emily looked at her friends. They were staring at her with wide eyes. Grace's patterns were flickering rapidly. Daniel's 4 hands were clenched tight. Kevin was completely still. I'm sorry I lied to you, Emily said quietly. I wanted to tell you the truth. I wanted to be honest. But I was scared. Scared. Daniel laughed nervously. You just defeated 200 soldiers by yourself. What could you possibly be scared of? Emily's eyes filled with tears. It surprised everyone. This girl who had been so strong, so fearless, so unstoppable, was crying. I was scared you would hate me, she whispered. I was scared you would see me as a monster. I was scared you would not want to be my friends anymore. Grace moved first. She wrapped her arms around Emily and held her tight. Her light patterns glowed warm and bright. You saved my life tonight, Grace said. You held my hand when I was sick. You made me laugh when I was sad. I do not care what planet you come from. You are my friend. Daniel joined the hug with all 4 arms. You are my little sister. Nothing changes that. Nothing. Kevin stepped forward. He still looked nervous. His Filari instincts were still screaming at him. But he put his hand on Emily's shoulder anyway. I was terrified of you, he admitted. Part of me is still terrified. But I watched you tonight. You could have been cruel. You could have enjoyed hurting them. You did not. You were controlled and careful and merciful. He smiled slowly. You are dangerous, Emily Park, but you are also kind. That is a rare combination. Emily cried harder, but she was also smiling. Her pack was still her pack. Her friends were still her friends. Professor Williams watched the children embrace. He thought about the future. Humanity was coming. 8 billion apex predators would join the galactic community. Everything would change, but as he watched Emily laugh through her tears, surrounded by friends from a dozen different species, he felt something unexpected. Hope. Maybe humans were terrifying. Maybe they came from a nightmare planet. Maybe they could outrun, outfight, and outlast anything in the galaxy. But they also made friendship bracelets. They also cried when they were afraid of losing loved ones. They also risked their lives to protect people they cared about. Perhaps, Professor Williams thought, that was the real secret of humanity. Not their strength or speed or endurance, but their capacity to love deeply and fiercely and without limit. 1 year later, Emily stood on a stage in front of the entire Galactic Council. She wore a formal dress instead of a school uniform. Behind her, the flag of United Earth hung beside the flags of 100 other species. This was the moment. First official contact between humanity and the galaxy. Emily looked out at the thousands of alien faces watching her. Some looked curious. Some looked scared. Some looked hopeful. She took a deep breath and spoke. My name is Emily Park. I am human. I come from a planet called Earth. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I know what you have heard about us. Deathworlders. Apex predators. Dangerous and violent and scary. All of that is true. Our planet tried to kill us every day, and we survived. We conquered. We became the dominant species on a world that should have destroyed us. Emily smiled. It was her warm, friendly smile. The one that made everyone feel safe. But that is not all we are. We are also poets and artists and dreamers. We write songs about love. We tell stories about heroes who sacrifice themselves for others. We build families and communities and civilizations based on cooperation and kindness. She looked at Grace in the audience, at Daniel, at Kevin, at her parents. At Professor Williams. We are humans, she said. We are terrible and wonderful and complicated. We can be your worst nightmare or your best friend. The choice is ours and yours. Emily extended her hand toward the assembly. We choose friendship. We choose peace. We choose to be part of something bigger than ourselves. She smiled again, and this time, the entire galaxy saw what her friends at Westbrook Academy had always seen. A girl who was dangerous and kind. A predator who made friendship bracelets. A human. So, Emily said, will you be our friends? The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then Grace stood up and started clapping. Daniel joined her, all 4 hands making a thunderous sound. Kevin added his voice, howling in the traditional Falari way. One by one, the delegates of 100 worlds stood and applauded. Humanity had arrived, and they brought friendship bracelets for everyone.